Hello and welcome to my channel Distinctive Crochet. My name is Priscilla and today we are going to be using our Sentro knitting machine to go ahead and work up this drop stitch slouchy beanie with bow accent. Alright, so I am going to be using this Wool Ease DK Cakes, and this is a Lion brand yarn, and it is the color Meadow. It's a number 3 lightweight. You get 393 yards. It's a 80% acrylic, 20% wool, but any DK weight yarn will work for this. So those are the specs there if you need to see them. All right, you will also need 2 small balls of waste yarn, at least enough to make around 5 rounds. You're also going to need a crochet hook. This is a 4.25 millimeter. A 4 millimeter will work also. You need a pair of scissors and of course a yarn needle. Alright, so let's go ahead to get started. The first thing we need to do is load in our waste yarn and load it onto the machine. And you want to definitely make sure that your counter is at 0 so that you can make sure you're keeping track of your rounds. So however you need to go ahead and load your machine, go ahead and do that. And we're only going to be working at least about 5 rounds of this waste yarn, but since it's such a small ball, I'm just going to use the whole ball for mine. Alright, so let me just go ahead and wind this up. Alright, so now that I have made it all the way around, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I put it in my tension and then just go ahead and crank the round. Alright, so now that I have that waste yarn put in the machine, now we're going to go ahead and tie in our working yarn with just a simple knot. Okay, and then once I have that in there, now I'm going to go ahead and make sure I have it on the tightest tension since this is a lighter weight yarn. So make sure you have that in your tightest tension setting. All right, and then we're just going to go ahead and work up 65 rows. So make sure you have your counter at 0 and then go ahead and work up 65 rows. So this hat is not going to be doubled, so it might not seem like a lot, but it's plenty to make it slouchy because we're not going to be doubling it. If you don't want to add slouchy, you can always subtract a few rows, maybe just do 60, and if you want it more slouchy, you can always add more, but I would try it out at 65 and see what you think first. Alright, so now that you have all of your 65 rows done, go ahead and cut your yarn, and then the next thing you're going to do is grab your waste yarn and then go ahead and tie in your second ball of waste yarn. Alright, once you have it tied in, go ahead and thread it into your tensioner bar, and then you can go ahead and work your at least 5 rounds of waste yarn. And once you have your 5 rounds done, go ahead and release it from the machine, and then I will show you what to do next. Alright, so once you have released your work from the machine, you're still working on that same end that you just released from, which is the top of the hat. So here is the knot that we started at. So find that area, grab your working yarn, and go ahead and slip stitch to join right in there. And then we're also going to be working in single crochets. So what we want to do now is single crochet in the next 4 stitches to go ahead and secure them. So here's the first one. So we're just going to work a simple single crochet. So there's 1, 2, here's 3, and 4. Okay, so we're going to skip this next stitch here, and then we're going to work in the next 5. We're going to put a single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we're going to skip this stitch and we're going to work in the next 5, put a single crochet. Whoops. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so skip that next stitch and then work in the next 5, a single crochet. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, we're going to skip that next stitch and work in the next 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, we're going to skip that next stitch and do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, we're going to skip that next stitch and put single crochet in the next 5. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oops. Okay, we're going to skip that next stitch and then we're going to work in the next 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 4, and 5. Alright, so we're going to skip that next stitch and then we're just going to slip stitch to join in the very first stitch. All right, so now that we have that join, all we're going to do is we're just going to cut the yarn, leaving about a 10 to 12 inch tail so that we can cinch the top of the hat. All right, so I'm going to cut it there, and then we'll just pull it through to fasten off and tighten it down. All right, so in a minute we will be using that to cinch the top, but right now I just want to go ahead and secure this bottom edge. So pretty much we're going to be doing the same thing. We're just going to be finding where we started at. We're going to join our yarn, and then we're going to work a single crochet, but we're going to work a single crochet in every stitch. We're not going to skip any stitches on this bottom of our hat. So we're just going to go right here where we tied in our yarn. We're going to slip stitch to join, and I'm going to go ahead and put a single crochet in there, and then a single crochet in each stitch around. All right, so go ahead and work that up, and then I will come back when I have mine finished. All right, so just a single crochet in each stitch around. All right, so I made it back around and I slip stitched to join. So now I'm just going to go ahead and cut a tail just to leave enough just to weave in. All right, so now we have both ends secured, so now we can go ahead and release our waste yarn. So at the bottom of the hat, what you're going to need to do is find your beginning knot, and then release it from there. You could always just cut the yarn, but I plan on reusing my waste yarn, so I'm just going to try to untangle it. But I usually take it out right at that beginning knot and then separate it from the hat. That way I can completely untangle it later, but I just want to release it from the hat right now, and that it's easier for me to start at the beginning knot. So you can see how it's starting to separate from the hat. So I'm just going to keep working that all the way around until I get this all the way released from the project. Alright, so now that I'm at the top of the hat, I can just pull right from the end where I left off at. I can just pull right from there, and then it'll just pull right out, just like if you were frogging or something. So just go ahead and pull that out right from the end. It comes off really nice and easy. It's just that beginning one where you start at, because your work is on top of that yarn, so you're not able to pull it out like that. Alright, and when you get to your knot, just go ahead and untangle that knot. Okay, so now I'm just going to pull that. Okay, so now we can go ahead and get our yarn needle and go ahead and cinch the top of this hat. So just thread your yarn needle with that long tail that you left at the top of the hat. And don't worry about those stitches there. They're supposed to be like that for the drop stitches, but we're just going to weave in and out of our single crochet stitches. I'm just picking up one loop, and I'm just going to go through a few stitches, and then I'll tighten it up and pull it, and then finally close it at the end once I have all of the stitches picked up. So I'm just going weaving in and out of one loop of that single crochet stitch all the way around, and then that will make it easy for this hat to go ahead and cinch up. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure I got all of the loops. I'm gonna go one more at the start, and I'm just gonna start pulling it closed all the way. And then when we get to the end of the hat, you can weave it all the way in. But I'm just gonna go around and secure it one more time to close it up a little bit better. Just going around the same direction that I went. And now that I have it closed up pretty well, I'm just gonna take the needle off, and then I'll weave the rest of it in a little bit later. All right, so now that we have the bottom secure and the top secure, we can go ahead and start dropping our stitches. So just find where one of the drop stitches are, and then just go ahead and pull and tug and stretch. My yarn is snagging on itself a little bit, but it should come down really nice and easy. And you're just going to drop it all the way down, but the single crochet will stop it, so don't worry, your hat's not going to come apart. So just keep working it all the way down to the single crochet stitch at the bottom of the hat. And this is the fun part. All right, so there it is. And you're just going to keep doing that for each of the drop stitches that we have on our hat. And you're just going to keep just tugging from side to side, and it should just drop right down for you. Mine keeps tugging on the yarn a little bit, but that's okay. I'm just going to keep working it all the way down. All right, just like that. So just keep doing that for each stitch. And then if you have a loop like this here, don't worry about that. Just pull it and stretch it out a little bit to tighten it down. So see how that's still sticking up? All you got to do is just pull it just a little bit, and then it's secured by the single crochet, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, I'll meet you back. All right, so now that we have all the stitches secured and the stitches dropped, we're just going to go ahead and attach our yarn a few stitches over from where we joined at. So you just want to make sure it's at one of the drop stitches. So just go ahead and join your yarn where one of the drop stitches are. And now we're going to create the bow accent. So I'm just going to secure it with a single crochet also. And to create the bow accent, all we have to do is go about halfway up the hat. You could count if you wanted to, but I'm just going to eyeball it myself. And so maybe right about here. And I'm just going to squish it down, sort of like an accordion fold, so that it makes some nice folds in the hat for the bow accent. So I'm just going to hold it firm like that once I have it nice and straightened out. All Alright, so I'm just going to make sure I have a clear path to insert my hook. So I'm just going to make sure all those loops are together. Alright, so now I can see my fingers, so that's where I'm going to go and insert my hook. I'm going to insert my hook through there, yarn over, and I'm going to grab the yarn and pull it all the way through and bring it up a bit more, and then you're just going to keep following that same path and grabbing your yarn to form a knot for the middle of the bow, and you're just going to keep yarning over and pulling up loops, as many as you want, until you feel that it makes a nice knot in the middle of your bow accent. It does get a little tight, so you might have to just tug at it a little bit more. I'm just going to do one more. Alright, so once you're satisfied, all you're going to do is yarn over and pull through all of the loops, and then you just want to secure it with the chain 1. Alright, and then you can, this is what it looks like here, so that makes the knot in the middle of the bow. So I'm just going to straighten this out just a little bit. Alright, so if you're satisfied with that, go ahead and fasten off. Cut your yarn and make sure you have a nice tail to weave in. Whoops. So now all you have to do is just weave in all of your ends. So this is what it looks like, and it gives you that nice little bow accent right there on the front. So all you're gonna do is just weave in all of those ends. Those can, you can tuck them down on the inside and weave them in, and then the edges will just roll and have a really pretty roll brim. So there is your slouchy hat. So I'm going to show you what it looks like in the picture after I get all these ends woven in. But thank you so much for coming along with me on this tutorial. I really hope you enjoy it. Please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.